So I've been working on the simulator recently, and I'm happy to report that progress has been going well, but I'd like to revamp the map, and you'll see why in a second. In my defense. So yes, that means I'm gonna have to make it myself, but where do I even start, you know? I'm literally just a programmer.
I love Legos.
But I've already made some models in the past, so I might be able to make a map, who knows. Anyways, these are the 3 reference images that I'm going to use, and I know that whatever I make is not going to look anywhere near as good as that, but I'll try my best to kind of replicate that vibe, and you guys get to see me suffer. So here's everything that I've modeled in the past, and with Dark on the Destroyer as our scale reference, you can see that we have a tall rock over here. We've got a smaller rock, a patch of grass, a fence, and a broken fence, and then a nice red mailbox with Jeff the Spider. And he's actually a nice old guy, you know, and probably one of my nicest creations, this crossbow, which I don't know how I managed to do that. But that's besides the point, because today I'll be in Blender to make 3D assets for a fantasy themed forest. So I'm going to be looking to make things like these mushrooms, or the flowers, or the plants, or just anything in this picture. Let's start with making the mushrooms first. Add an icosphere, and then we can take half of the icosphere to extend it to create the base of the stem. And then I can use proportional editing here to give it a bit more of a nicer shape. Next up, I'll add a cylinder and use the base to shape out the bottom of the mushroom cap. We can do this by just extruding and shrinking from the top. Lastly, I'm just going to give it some more shape by moving the points around a little, just like this, by using proportional editing. And then some over here, and we're done. We can recolor this mushroom to make it brown, and we can also make this in clusters. You can see how they look in Roblox after I use the decimate modifier to reduce the number of faces. I lowered the quality by a lot, but it should be fine since they'll be pretty small and scattered around the map. And now to make the rest of the assets. Alright, I just finished making all of the nature assets. As you can see, we have the mushrooms from before, and on top of that I've also got the grass, plants, and a flower. And I made a nice big log and a tree trunk, as well as a pine tree, which I'm going to use as the main tree asset. And of course I had to make the terrain asset as well. I made one small, tall, and even taller than that. And with all the assets complete, I'm going to start decorating an empty map, and let's just see how it goes. So I start off by grabbing some mountains and putting them in this corner, and my idea was to fill in every corner with assets because I wanted to create some roundness in my map. As you know, it's rectangular. And afterwards I can just place some more on the side and make sure to rotate and resize each mountain so that it doesn't look boring and repetitive. Then I decided to place some grass and trees around this area as well as on top of the mountains, and voila. I'm doing the exact same thing on this side, and you guys have to remember that I'm just placing things as I go, doing whatever I think would look good. But to be honest guys, before I even began making the map, I already kinda sketched out what I wanted my map to look like. But it only gave me a general idea of where to place things, as I'm not an artist. I did not draw a meticulously crafted map. Anyways, so far it's looking great, and by the way, when you're making a map, make sure to add a lot of depth, because you want it to look like there's things far beyond the area that you're in. Whether that be placing huge mountains or trees far back or buildings and whatnot, it'll help create the illusion that you're in a real place and not just a flat floating island. But yeah, once I'm done with the terrain on this side, I should be done with the borders, at least for now, and I can actually start placing other things around the map. Speaking of which, you can see me meticulously placing grass around before I remembered about the brush tool. And that probably could have saved a lot of time spent on placing these. And oh yeah, the moment I remembered.
Nice.
Oh my god guys, I just started clicking around. I just started clicking everywhere. Like one here, one there, one click there, one over here, one on top of this mountain. Like if you can't tell, I love the brush tool so much. Anyways, after adding a small pool of water, some fog, and the rocks, here is the final result. I really enjoyed making this video. Even though it was a pain cutting hours of footage into 5 minutes, I enjoyed it nonetheless. It was a really short video, but I just wanted to show you guys how I, someone with very little experience with building maps, can make a map from scratch. Even if, yeah, it wasn't the greatest, I definitely find it good enough to be used over the previous one as a permanent map for my game. And if you're interested in my videos and content, make sure to join my Discord server and subscribe as well. I'll have it in my description. And I'm about to hit 500 subs, so stay tuned and subscribe. And that's all guys, see you in the next video.